My name is Jerm. This is Jerm Warfare, the battle of ideas. All right, Hakeem Anwar, thank you for joining me in the trenches.
Jerm, it's good to be back.
I said to you a moment ago that I am retreating from Substack. Substack's a pretty big deal, particularly in the alternative space. And a number of people, I think in the UK and Australia, are now reporting age verification. This is obviously digital ID creep, isn't it?
Yeah, what I've been hearing, because this is now a pervasive issue, moved so fast from social media to our phone and now to computers within the span of like 4 or 5 months. Conversation's always evolving. But yeah, it's a slippery slope to digital ID, and the Australia issue and Substack going along with that was kind of a big wake-up call for people that no platform that makes it, I guess, successful is not going to apply. And in the UK just now, a few days ago, millions of people had their iPhones just completely neutered because of their new...
Hakeem, I've been speaking about digital ID since 2020. I'm pretty certain you have too. And I was going through some old emails of mine from 2020. I was talking about the vaccine passport linking to digital ID, etc. And I got a number of emails over that period of time calling me a lunatic and crazy and stupid and all that. And now that the terminology is being used by politicians, it's now not even conspiratorial. It's mainstream. But just for the sake of clarity, when we talk about digital ID, what are we talking about?
Yeah, this is an idea that has been around for 20 years. Full name is digital identity. That's the concept of having an interoperable identity to many different things, but only one username, password, or credential. And it was created by this gentleman, Hakeem Cameron, who used to work for Microsoft for their LDAP authentication. People in IT at it. But anyway, he was this guy that was publishing papers what digital identity should be. And he was mainly concerned about having hundreds of different passwords for hundreds of different accounts and just trying to unify that and to protect from hackers or cyber criminals. And over the years, his ideas were adopted by coalition groups and organizations were built around this concept of digital identity. International ID4D, Identity for Development. It was quickly adopted by the financial sector. We have what it is today, the comprehensive identification across government services, but also financial services. So it's been a long time coming, this one.
It sounds like it started off as a good idea.
Oh, yeah. If you read Kim's original paper, it was called The Laws of Identity. He laid out 7 concepts that would be in people's favor when it comes to having a digital identity. One of those was always having consent of what information is shared at all times. Having your identity and having all these different pieces of information tied to that, but actually being able to consent at what piece is shared with things we're verifying. And I think that if you look at what digital ID programs are using today, they use a lot of that same language. They like to say that it is always a user's choice of what information to share. But in reality, no one can enforce those standards on companies that develop the ID program. So right now, we're in this weird era of things. It's the field isn't very mature. There are a number of standards. There's the Web3 verified credentials. But it's not like there's a standards body that is looking at the software these governments are building and saying, "Hey, is it actually keeping everything stored inside the credential, or is it reporting sending additional information?" And there's no way to really verify this. So the fact that almost every country on the planet is working on a digital ID program is really, really scary. This is something I've covered in my digital ID report. Anyone can download at abovephone.com/digital. We looked at pretty much every country on earth. We talked a little bit about this last time. So it's coming, and it's coming fast.
I've had this discussion a few times with people, and it feels like I'm talking to a doorknob, because the response is, "Yeah, but our ID is already digital, so what's the problem?"
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. It's like that meme that I'm seeing. That's like, Google knows everything about me, and yet it still needs me to prove I'm not a robot. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, they have all this information about us, and I think the key point is that, all right, they have pieces of information that represent you, but none of them are truly authorized with a legal signature or legal verification. And so right now, what I'm telling people is that once you hand over your biometrics, fingerprint, face print, voice print, along with your legal identity, you give both of those together, that constitutes the basis for a digital ID. And this digital ID is like, as long as you give those two things over, nothing else is needed. You don't have to install an app on your phone. You don't have to sign up anywhere. It could be that you went into the office to renew your ID as it's happening in US, Canada, other Western countries, and even in Russia. They demand those things. And as soon as you've done that, it's over. They've created the digital ID on their system, and now even if you don't install the app on your phone, it doesn't matter. You can still interact with digital.
Is it all bad, though? I mean, having a banking app that uses facial recognition on the excuse the pun, on the face of it seems like a good idea.
Yeah, there's countries like Denmark that everyone in the country is actually using digital ID, and their system is called NemID. Open a bank account, to use any sort of government service, to own property, and they're happy with it. They're happy with it, actually. They're kind of in a blissful, complacent. As long as, hey, the government is providing all the services and the economy is not bad and no draft or no rationing, it sounds like a pretty good system. There are downsides, though, even if some of that stuff is not happening. Countries like Singapore are also heavily using with their system ThingPass. About 97% of Singaporeans are using SingPass, which, under my definition of digital ID, that makes it far more than. But yet, somehow, with this, Singapore is a fairly sophisticated and modern government that built this system, but security firms still found stolen identity with these digital IDs on the dark web. So, people have gotten their identity stolen, their, their national ID number. Imagine getting your biometrics stolen. How do you get those back? That's the question you have to ask.
So, Substack implementing age verification, why is this a bad move?
Yeah, well, I think people are really counting on these large platforms to protect their user data, their privacy as much hard to a much greater degree they ended up. And that's what's going to happen if you're a large company, you're a publicly traded company, or even if you have external investors. The influence from these investors is going to be too much. They'll shutter the company or force the executive team out. So it's not really surprising. And when I started Above Phone, that was one of my principles: not bring on investors that had any say what happened actually remained true. And even if we were being requested by governments to impose age verification, something we could find a way to circumvent it, to push back to this or to just avoid it entirely. But for very large platforms, that's not really the case. And the reason it's bad is because eventually, as more and more platforms comply, and as they have already, I mean, the UK, just to tell you like where it could go. Um, so Apple made tens of millions of people in the UK made their phone bricks overnight. And if people didn't give their age to the phone after the latest update, then it treated them like a literal child. It treated them like a child had just started to use their phone, even though it's the phone they've paid for and have been years and so they couldn't search things on the web, couldn't download any apps that had an age rating, like literally that severe. So it just goes to show, like anytime you are using a platform or service that is run by third parties, as are big tech phones, laptops, like you don't own it, can be taken and be hacked, just like ransom.
But I'm still trying to wrap my head around age verification. Let's just assume for a moment that Apple don't have nefarious motives. They don't want to come after you. And they are complying with, I don't know, government regulations or whatever. Okay. What would be their motivation to request your age?
Yeah. I mean, and this is a story that is now developing fast. And I don't know if Apple has ever positioned that they desire this, but there is another big tech company, Meta, that does desire this for computers. And part of the reason is that these companies might stand to benefit by imposing age verification on everyone simply because they've already been abusing the law. In an Apple's case, it's not a content provider, unlike Meta. Meta, is responsible for the content on their platform and is responsible for showing it to children and has been for years and years, which has been causing irreparable psychological damage to everyone, and it's gotten much worse for people. So one of the theories is that, and they are actively lobbying this in the US, is that they would like to pass age verification on computer to potentially profit off of their own age verification system. So these companies have billions of users, and they have enough information about these people to run an age verification system themselves. So now it's possible that different operating systems providers like Microsoft and Apple will use Meta to be the age verification. And Meta could actually charge them 50 cents, a dollar. I don't know. I don't know how much they're going to charge them, but they could actually earn money from this possibility. So the more and more apps and services use age verification, there's a carve out in the industry for companies that can get rich providing it as a service.
A few years ago, they were Facebook at the time were involved in a big brawl when it came to violation of personal information. Remember that Cambridge Analytica scenario where they tried to manipulate American voters, and old Zuck had to sit in front of, I think it was Congress or whatever, and that whole thing. Okay, so Facebook doesn't have a history that's trustworthy. Has Apple, since we mentioned them, ever had a scenario in which they have violated any privacy laws or privacy? What word I'm looking for? Have they ever violated privacy?
All the time. Yeah, all the time. And all the time. And one thing people really need to know is to not fall for marketing. Where you see those billboards, privacy, that's Apple. No, they just appear to make themselves look like they care about privacy. But in reality, when you look at these deep technical subjects, things that are happening, they're not. So one example of that is that there's this attestation service that uses a unique identifier for your computer, along with a unique identifier or app you're going to use. If you're using a Mac, um, if you launch a program, this signal is actually broadcasted out over the internet. It's sent over the internet, and for a very long time, it was sent completely unencrypted. Now, even after COVID, it was sent. I think it was in 2022 when security researcher Jeffrey Paul discovered this, because the service that tells your MacBook, hey, this is a verified app, was broken for a few hours, and so people couldn't launch apps. They found out about it. Long story short, they didn't even bother to put on the most basic encryption, SSL encryption that you have in the browser, and they just sent it over the network unencrypted. So anyone watching the network, telecoms, ISPs, intelligence agents, could see what software people are running. That's just one example. Apple and these tech companies treat you like a child, and they basically make your decisions for you. And they turn on these really privacy invasive features that impact billions of people and impact all of their data. They've been doing that for now these AI features that I've covered, things like enhanced visual search and searching for people in your photos. So these get turned on for your entire photo library, not just what you have in the cloud, but Apple is actually scanning all your photos with AI to gain as much information as possible. And they're working on their own secret database. They don't notify anyone that they're doing this. They don't even make a blog post about it. They just quietly turn the setting on after updates. I have to ask myself, why bother using these phones? They don't in the first place.
Google obviously doesn't have a good history when it comes to privacy. I mean, Epstein, the whole email thing. I mean, they were using Gmail.
Yeah. Talk about protecting kids, right?
I mean, it's ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous. Okay, so what happens after age verification? What's the next creep?
It should be digital ID, and it's very close. These are a lot of the times they duplicate these systems, because just like the COVID pandemic, it's more of like an exercise of how to integrate public institution with the technology provider, the local government, health data supply chain, getting all these pieces to work together, right? So, I mean, age verification is a bit of that as well. How can the UK work more closely with Apple? Well, I think, what did the UK say? You probably this. They said, by 2029, you're going to need digital ID to be able to work. And then they walk that back really, really quickly. Well, that's where this is going. And the digital ID, again, when you hand over your legal identity and along with your biometrics, then they can create it for you anytime you interact with the government service. That's a new transaction added on to your digital ID. Anytime you pass through a border checkpoint and there's biometric cameras there, that's additional. Those are additional transactions that get added to your history. And why this is important is because we can look to countries like Russia or China to see the end goal of this. For instance, in Russia, as they're doing the draft for the Ukraine war, there's a lottery for people who are eligible for the draft and get selected. And so the digital ID is hooked up to the cameras, the Moscow metro. So if they see you on the metro, they will just pull you off the street. So sum it up, it was going to track you every aspect of your reality. So very, very, very quick to find you, interact with, or to even cut you off at a moment's notice and say the wrong thing.
When I was in China, I actually saw evidence of this. Funny enough, not in Shanghai, but when I was in the province of Xinjiang, which is on the western side against the border of Afghanistan and a number of other countries, there were a number of checkpoints that we had to go through. And sitting in the car, you have to roll down the windows, take off your cap, take off your sunglasses, and you look out. And there are cameras that do quick facial recognition scans. And it uses within a second it verifies you. And if you fail the verification, you get stopped about 50 meters, ahead. I must admit, I am very uncomfortable with that. Having said that, I understand this is a military province of China. There's a lot of sort of foreign infiltration attempts happening there, but I didn't see that in Shanghai. However, the point that I'm making nonetheless is that is precisely what you're talking about.
Yes, and it's coming literally everywhere to the more developed countries first, but there's no country that it's not happening. Besides countries that would be considered lawless, like Suriname in the Amazon rainforest, or towards Africa. There's very, very few. So the good news is that, hey, you don't have to pick your flavor or pick sides. It's kind of something we're all in together, no matter where you are. And it comes down to compliance. How many people are going to comply with it and aren't comply with it? And as I said in the report, I think 2027 for that. That is the year where all businesses will be required to accept digital ID as a form of identification. And so you're seeing all these programs kind of kick off in preparation for that, so that everything is tracked. So yeah, if I could give you a takeaway, is to just really do everything in your power to avoid giving your biometrics alongside your digital identity, or I'm sorry, your legal identity. You might get requested on the bank. You're just using the web browser and going to ask you for biometric verification. You can basically pretend like your webcam isn't working and force them. Eventually, they're going to give up and say, okay, all right, just mail us, or just send us a picture of your ID. And I highly encourage you to do that. Avoid it at all costs, because they can turn around and get that data from the financial company that's doing it, or the age verification. Build it.
Do you think there's going to be a whole new underground industry of fake IDs being created and sold?
I think there already is, like those Singaporean IDs that I had mentioned. I think if you check out the dark web, you could probably find digital IDs there for you.
But I mean,
it's an interest.
Sorry, what I mean is, I don't mean IDs of real people. I mean completely fake profiles.
I see what you're saying. So like, so someone decides to create some fake identity there and feed it to the digital. It's quite possible. I mean, every government has its potential for corruption and bad actors within it. Although I will say that's getting harder, because getting more and more digital, and Mexico being one of the prime examples. Never thought would catch up. They're making really, really big steps during that. There is no way to circumvention process, and so yeah, at some point we'll have to go along with this. I would just say avoid it. And maybe far enough into the future, I think that it has to get a little bit worse for that to happen.
You sound like an accelerationist.
You think I want it to get worse?
Well, quicker.
Because
if it's going to happen anyway, then we might as well just welcome it and see everything burn, so that we can get past that fire.
I'll take a few more years. I don't mind. I still have work to do on the land. Give me a few more years, y'all.
So listen, we haven't mentioned the UN, but digital ID forms part of one of their major sustainable development goals, one of their SDGs. And the World Economic Forum has spoken a lot about it, because they support the UN on this.
Yeah, that's it's a sustainable development goal target, 69, and by 2030, this is it doesn't specifically mention digital, but it just means legal identity. And so
yeah, but that's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it meshes it together, right? It serves both
Mm.
purposes, and then you see the World Bank and um, these UN affiliated NGOs like ID 2050 and 5. You look at what they're doing, and what I just mentioned about Mexico. Who gave them the money to modernize their immigration system? Well, it was the World Bank. They got $200 million all the way back in uh, it's 2016. Who gave money to Nigeria? This is a lot of money. This is like $430 million that they get, while people in the country, I mean, good part of the population that doesn't have enough education, no water, no food. But the World Bank is they're ready to give money to just identify the people. So, I think anyone who's who's asking the right question.
But this is the whole thing. I mean, the UN is probably one of the most dangerous organizations in the world, and they never really get mentioned. I mean, the Sustainable Development Agenda is huge. It's huge, and it's completely unstoppable. Every facet of our existence falls into that agenda.
Yeah, I mean, it nowadays with how the war in Iran is being used as a launching off point to dive further into green energy and the climate lockdown. You really see how it's playing out. It's pretty scary to see all of it at once. But I have to say, as you can tell by how much effort they're having to apply, and I mean how they're literally having to start wars, destroy the global oil chain, how unpopular these ideas are. No one actually wants it. So they're having to try really hard. I think it's only a matter of time before the system just collapses on itself. I'm not too worried. Just people need to take the steps to ensure they're as separated as they can be.
In terms of tech savviness, do you think there is a critical mass?
You're saying in terms of people, well, yeah. So I think that we have a big problem with tech savviness, and that's what we try to do at Above Phone is to educate people about their technology and teach them how to use private devices. I think is really really important. Not just like a nerdy thing. This is really something to be prepared for, life or death thing, potentially future. We see how core technology is to the agenda. And so right now, they're trying to make our technology as dumbed down as possible. And you can see that with the Google's new developer verification requirements. Now, if you want to install something off of the App Store, you literally have to go in and set it to developer mode, and you have to wait an entire day before it'll allow you to install apps on your phone. And and in this case, like describing this new process that they just released like a week or two ago, it's already better than Apple because at least Google allows you to install apps. But together, Google and Apple, those are billions and billions of users. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to carve out a group of people who completely own their technology so they can install apps from the popular app stores. They're not even affected by these mandates Google is trying to pass down. And they can also install third party, independent, freedom minded apps that what I hope is we have to create our own ecosystem. They might even they might look or use some of the same concepts to integrate and be interoperable like digital ID, but it's not going to be based on your biometrics. It's going to be based on a trust system between people. And we really need to start building these systems before it's too late. So I encourage people to look at this privacy tech if you haven't already.
During the COVID era, a lot of people in the alternative space were talking about creating parallel structures, supporting your local networks, and getting into communities that are like minded, etc. And that's what you're talking about. It's fine to support local farmers and whatever local plumbers, etc., and people who are on your side, but What about the internet? What about the technology that you use? What about your phone? What about your laptop?
Yeah, and I think people took it for granted a little bit, but now that is changing as you see this digital ID and age verification infrastructure come online. And just to remind people that there are solutions that have been around for years that can do everything your normal phone can do. They literally can do everything you do and more. So you can download these gross junk food apps if you want. You can even get information about how many companies are spying on you in these apps, like a PDF reader, and see that there's 9 additional companies, including all of our gross big tech pros in there. So you can still do what you're used to doing, but there's also this whole new world of apps that you can use to protect your privacy and to replace your reliance on big tech apps doing. So here there's alternative ways to watch YouTube, ways to organize photos without scanning it for AI, ways to listen to podcasts, ways to navigate completely offline, which is going to be very, very helpful in the case of an internet outage or a grid down scenario. You could download a map of the entire world to your phone and navigate completely offline. Yes, is a passive thing. And so there are, what I recommend for people is like, they're interested in replacing the internet. Many people are interested in replacing the internet, but most of them haven't even replaced their own phone or laptop. And it's like you have to take baby steps before you can go and build your own long range radio network, which is possible, but you have to build up that content. So we have partnered with you to give
I have one of your
people.
laptops.
Tell me how it's working for you.
It is amazing. So for those that don't know, I have one of your Linux machines. It's got on it local AI, so it doesn't connect to the internet unless you want it to. And it's a beast.
Yeah.
It's fast, and you can do everything on it. Most things. Linux is still iffy when it comes to like hardcore media.
I love your accent.
Well, when I say Linux, oh, Linux. Is that?
No.
I don't know. We've had this discussion before, and I don't know what the correct way to say it is.
I think either way is correct. It's just funny because I don't hear it often. But the guy's name was Linus, right? It was Linus Torvalds.
Yeah, Linus.
So Linux is correct. That's correct. So it's got the local AI on it. It's Jerm has got our best laptop that we offer, which is Quantum 15.
Yeah, it's a fantastic machine, and it's big. It's got a big screen.
Yeah, big screen. It's a 16-inch. It's a 16-inch, guys. So this is a bit bigger than what you would expect. I travel with this machine now. I've switched over to it, and it's really, really powerful because it has a built-in GPU. And one of the things I'm doing is, as I'm becoming more aware about the ecological impacts of AI, I'm just encouraging people to just use local AI whenever possible. So this is set up with our friend Mike Adams' BrightLearn AI, which knows a lot about self-sufficient. I mean, it's like been trained on 2 million pages, 2 million different documents on natural health, self-sufficiency. So you could literally like look at the ingredients on the back of a toothpaste or anything, and you can ask it about it, and it'll tell you, and you don't have to be connected to the internet. So that's super cool. A lot of our laptops will support AI, and then we also have phones, and most of our phones are able to are AI capable as well. So they're not on this page right here, but if you go to our shop, you'll see that we actually just need to put a badge or something. But the 9 Pro and our latest phones are all local AI capable. That means they can run the same AI we were just talking about right on the device. So if you have anyone in the family who's like, maybe they want to switch to Linux and they're worried about it, I'm calling it Linux now too, dude.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's like a good third of our company dedicated to helping people who they call themselves technophobic. I've heard tech retarded. I've heard many things, and all of it is we're here to help you. We have real life people, not AI, to assist you up top. But you get a free call when you start over. So we can help you transition everything. I mean, now is the time before your phone gets disabled.
I don't think people actually understand what's coming.
What do you think is
I don't think we're going to wake up one morning and suddenly it's Armageddon. I don't think that. I think it's gradual. It's that frog boiling in the water scenario. By the way, sorry, let me just quickly segue. This frog boiling in the water thing. I wonder where that comes from. Do you know anybody who's ever boiled a frog? I don't know anybody, and I hope never to know anybody who boils a frog just to see what happens. I wonder if it's just theoretical.
they should have done something like a crab or a lobster.
Well, pull up your AI. You've got AI there. Let's test it. Ask it if anybody has ever boiled a frog.
Okay, we're doing this live, mind you. So I'm very curious as what it's going to say. It might just go off on a tangent, but this is good. So okay,
Well,
so here we are.
contextualize it. Contextualize it. Yeah.
And so what I'm showing you guys is this is the AI. This is how you communicate with AI on machine. So you can pick. Here is that I've got a bunch of different models on here, but we're gonna do that natural health AI. We're discussing.
So I think you need to contextualize the. It's a metaphor of boiling a frog, and it doesn't realize that it can jump out.
We're discussing the metaphor of boiling a frog in water to describe people's lack of awareness of an approaching digital surveillance infrastructure. Question is, do frogs actually behave like that, right? Can you actually boil a frog? Can you actually boil a frog slowly, like in the metaphor?
Gee, it's fast. Well, give me a summary.
Okay. So it says, however, yes, it's a apt metaphor, but the concept is biologically inaccurate. When applied to real frogs, most species possess inherent thermoregulatory responses.
So it'll jump out.
Frogs, it's going to jump out, is what it's basically saying. This is pretty cool, though. Frogs can sense a 2 to 3 Celsius per minute increase in water temperature, well below the lethal threshold. They're going to jump out of the water long before boiling, which makes me kind of feel better, because if the frog is yeah. So, and this needs to be cited, but it's actually saying there's actually talking about experiments where scientists are boiling frogs, and they leap from water temperatures as low as 30 degrees Celsius when stressed. Like, that's not very hot. That's like a nice warm bath. I wouldn't jump out of that. I was saying you were cutting in and out a little bit, but did I get the gist that your wife was telling you that the number of frogs in the environment is a good indicator of health? Yeah, it's interesting. It's absolutely. If you don't notice a lot of frogs around, check if someone's just boiling and eating the frogs. I've heard they taste pretty good, like chicken. Being South African, that actually surprises me, man. But don't South Africans eat like a wide range? Too little. I feel like I've learned something today. I feel like I'm inspired by this frog. I'm inspired by this frog. Like, let's take this metaphor and apply it to now. Like, let's say we're going to 100 degrees Celsius. By the way, we haven't gotten a chance to talk about this, but now I'm a metric system lover. I'm coming around to it. Let's talk about it in the context of this frog. We're going to 100 Celsius, right? And what is the temperature we're at currently right now? What would you say? So what's that, like 50 degrees Celsius? So that's hotter hotter than any hot spring or any sauna? I'm gonna say, well, because I think it's more of like it's not like linear. It's like a parabolic arc. So you like see it and then it just like goes super hot. I'm gonna say it's actually like comfortable at like 40, 46, 45. But closer. Well, no, I just think out of all the things that can be turned up, it hasn't gotten real. We haven't had like rationing yet. We haven't had a world war in like areas where we live. Did we have rationing though? No restaurants or anything. It was a health lockdown. Okay. I see where you're going, and I think that I agree with you. I think at that time it was 50 Celsius. But since then the temperature has dropped because some frogs hopped out of the water. And now I think we're slowly maybe approaching 50 Celsius again. Yeah. Also, fun fact about frogs, some of them in the Mexican desert develop a psychedelic compound on their back that people started to smoke. Yep. That's the DMT. DMT. It's called Bufo. Done by yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can like scrape its back and do a preparation and huff that and go off. From what I hear, that's like come next year, man. Come to for the People's Reset. We can make that happen. There's lots of that kind of stuff in Africa too, though. Was that me who said it? I thought it was you who said it. Yes, I did say that. You can choose not to engage, though. Just like the lockdown. They came, and you could still choose to go outside and not put on a mask. Yeah, yeah. Well, so that's fair. Digital ID is permanent. Digital ID is permanent. There's nothing you can do. It's like there's no mainframe that you can go in to hack the digital ID and to tear it down. They'll just build another. They're dead set on the ID. Like the institution, every public institution and every corporate institution will do it. It's like a thing. Businesses will big businesses for sure, right? They're going to do it. It's going to be a way that you can interact, log in to their services. That for sure is going to happen. There's no way it's not going to happen. Otherwise, this company, there's no one can like speak out just at those companies. They're all financially controlled. I think it's going to come down to individuals and we're talking really local level, mom and pop business, um, farmers, individual who decide that nope, I'm not going along with that, and they're going to have to adapt their lives very quickly. Should it come? So the best thing to do right now is prepare for that. Yes, and to organize. I mean, I think this is a pretty good thing to think about. You might wonder, okay, so if I get fired from my job for not accepting digital ID, what am I going to do? And I just want you to think about the value of someone in a small town who knows all the farmers, who knows where to get milk, who knows the builders in town, um, knows the healers. This person did not even lift a finger, but the work is literally talking to people and connecting to people and being the connector. So there's a lot of value in helping set up these relationships right now. And there's all sorts of I see all sorts of new economic roles for people as this happens, because not everyone's going to go along with it, or some people might decide to try it out for a little bit and they realize their lives are going to get so much worse for everything we talked about, and they're going to want out. They're going to want out. It's a big opportunity. Yeah, it's a big opportunity for people to trust in ourselves and trust in each other, that we can make, quote Afroman, to make good times out of bad times. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you control your internal world, and there's always going to be opportunity, especially as if someone watching geopolitical events, you see our global food production crashing, free fall, kind of watching it happen. Um, the best case scenario would be Strait of Hormuz open somehow. I don't know. Trump's probably going to just make that situation worse and worse. But if it doesn't, then we are going to have to lean to organic farming. Going to have to. It's either that or the fake meat, right? Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's we. I like to say that. I mean, it's really true. Everyone has their own gift, and we can't be experts at everything. So this is one way that we try to serve and get people up onto a level where they can take care of themselves technologically. Now, you probably have a lot you could teach me about homesteading, sure, and we need to learn from each other. So I think that's what this next year is all about. As digital ID becomes more mature and they start to enforce it on businesses, what are our communities going to look like? I think that we will become more aware of each other. And I am working on things behind the scenes. So hopefully I'll have more to share with you soon about that. Yeah, that's why they got to be careful. Go back to the frog metaphor. You're boiling the frog, then it has a handgun. That joke. Dude, it's a t-shirt. It's a frog. Okay, check it out. So it's a frog in a hot tub. That's a pot, and there's like a gun sticking out of the water, and it says, "Don't boil me," or like, that, "Don't tread on me." Don't. It's pretty gangster, yeah. uh, yeah, absolutely. This is a company that I started 5 years ago now, working with volunteers in the freedom space at first, building platforms like the Freedom Cell Network and holding events around the world. We realized we needed a private way to communicate with each other. So we started researching, and then a few months later, about born, and then we decided it was so good we needed to share with. So I'd say we're the biggest and longest standing de-Googled phone company, but we don't just do de-Googled phone. We also do laptops, we do tablets, and we do communication service. So if you go to abovephone.com, you'll get all the details. And we have a collaboration with Jerm where you can both support us and yourself and him by getting a phone through the link. So check it out. Each phone or device comes with a real live support call with a real person. And our phones work with any cell service anywhere in the world. So we can send them pretty much any region in the world. And they also allow you to use your cell service no matter where you're at. And you can still download every app you're going to use. So there's no downside. The only downside might be if you like playing 3D game or something like that it might not work on the above phone. But we also have a suite of software services. This is an email, calendar, private search engine, encrypted chat, internet phone, VPN, file sharing, video conferencing, search, knowledge, and support. So when you ask me, all right, Apple's implementing age verification, am I worried about it? No, because I have this entire ecosystem that's got my back and it can have your back too. This service is additional. It's optional. I highly recommend it, but you're not forced to use it ever. And it's $100 a year only for all these different services. And you don't have to use it on above phone. You can use it on your computer. You can even use it on normal phone. So we don't play dirty like the other companies. We won't keep you in our walled garden. You can use it on a device. Check that out. Check us out at abovephone.com/ yours is nice. Nice and short. Thanks, my friend. Glad to be back. Thanks for listening.